Hi, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Someone had asked me to talk about signaling this week. So we're going to kind of shift over to defense. And it can be a really hard thing to do to defend. It's one of the last things that people really think about. But unless you bid a lot, you probably are defending at least half the hands. So it's really important. But before we can even talk about signaling, the first thing we have to talk about is the opening leads, because your signals, which signal you decide or how you decide to signal, that you like or don't like something or whatever, depends on a multitude of things. But one of the first things is that you and partner have to get off to the right leads. And you'd be surprising how important it is to make the right lead. More contracts have been lost at trick one than you could ever imagine, because either the lead wasn't the optimum lead or because Declare made the wrong play at trick one. But of course, that's play of the hand, right? Okay. So my Atlanta Junior Bridge Group, that I told you we're a nonprofit, been around teaching bridge for, 14 years now, though not much this last month or two. But this is one of our posters, opening leads, and there's some kind of ideas here. And then there's some ideas about defending and what you lead from honor cards, okay? And we talked last week about never underlead an ace, right? So we have some other things here. You might want to take a picture of that or keep it pulled up sometime, or print it out on your computer. One of the things that you have to first off decide is what suit you want to lead. Now, Cantor, I've told you about Cantor. He has a really good book on defense. That big red one, which is really hard to find, is the one I learned from, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Oh, gosh, that was a long time. So you have to pick which suit to lead. And that can be based on the bidding a lot of times. It can be, typically, you wouldn't lead a suit the opponent's bid, because that's their suit. If your partner bid, you definitely should think about leading their suit. I can't remember who it was. I'll find the quote. But they said the only reason not to lead partner's suit is either you didn't have any or you were dead. I don't go quite that far. But if partner goes out of their way to bid a suit, typically you'd want to lead the suit they bid. If there's an auction of 1 no trump by your opponent, 3 no trump, and you have a choice between a major and a minor suit, typically you would lead the major suit, if they were kind of equal in strength. Because when it goes 1 no, 3 no, at least responder doesn't have a major. So, there's books and books and books written. UNEWEN wrote a book on opening leads. Cantor's book covers opening leads. You can find a lot of good ones out there. I think Blackwood has one. I'll look at my shelves before tomorrow and give you some ideas about who you might look at for opening leads. Some of the people that had some good ideas. So you first have to pick the suit, and then you have to pick the card that you're going to lead within the suit. And that can be problematical too, because it depends if your partner bid the suit or didn't bid the suit, whether you have length or shortness, which card you should lead. And of course, even within that, you're going to find a lot of people have different ideas about what they think is the way that you ought to lead. So I'll probably be telling you over the next 5 days this week as we do defense what I think is right, or what I think works, not right, but works most of the time. Doesn't work all the time. Nothing works all the time. But remember that that's my opinion based on experience, but it is my opinion. And there's lots of people with as much experience as I have that have different ideas. So there's no ironclad, this is the right way to do it, okay? If you don't have any signals in the bidding, then typically your opening lead is usually determined by the strength of your suits. So the first thing we're going to look at is when you have honor cards, when you have touching honor cards. So what do we mean by touching honor cards? Let's look down here. Okay, Queen, Jack, 10. That's a sequence. We call 3 in a row or more a sequence. Now, if you have 9, 8, 7, we don't consider that a sequence. Usually when we talk about sequence leads, we're talking about the 10 would be the lowest card you would ever have that would start a sequence. So 10, 9, 8 is a sequence. Queen, Jack, 10 is a sequence. King, Queen, Jack would be a sequence. But when you only have 2 honors, King, Queen, Jack, 10, usually we lead top of touching honors. Okay? Now, nowadays, most people lead, and you really, I don't think, can tell of here what's black. When we first did this with Atlanta Junior Bridge, we gave them the standard leads, the leads that people made forever and ever and ever. What's become more standard nowadays when you have Ace King is to lead Ace from Ace King. But traditionally it was the King. And look how what card you lead changes whether it suits or no trump. Okay? So golly, there's just a ton of stuff, right? I mean, there's a slew of things that you have to think about. My favorite lead's top of a sequence. Top of a sequence typically is pretty good, doesn't give anything away, starts to build tricks for your side. Next would be, for me, top of touching honors. There's a thing we call an interior sequence. That's like this King, Jack, 10 somewhere. Where was it? Here, King, Jack, 10. The Jack is the top of an interior sequence. Why is that an interior? Because it's inside 2 other cards, right? What's the thing that all of those have in common? They're strong. They've got a lot of strong cards working together. If I don't have a sequence to lead from, I'll typically lead 4th, down from my longest and strongest. Now, what's that? King, 7, 5, 4. Okay, we lead the 4. That's the 4th card down from a 4-card suit. If I have an honor and I have 3 cards only, I would lead low from an honor. Now, partner doesn't know whether I have 4 or just 3 sometimes, but I would lead low from an honor. I tend to make aggressive leads. I make leads that try and create tricks for us right away. There's some people that prefer passive leads. One lead that I think is not a good lead is the one we talked about for a short time last week. Never underlead an ace against a suit contract. I think that was either Monday or maybe the Friday before last Monday. So if you missed that one, go back and look at it. We're going to talk some more about this as we go along this week. I could spend the whole week just on opening leads, but I don't want to do that. Somebody asked me about signaling. But the signal that we'll talk about tomorrow is attitude. And a lot of your attitude signals are based on your partner's opening lead and kind of what your and partner's philosophy is about leads. Is partner going to be trying to create tricks? Is he going to lead aggressively or is he going to lead passively? So this is really going to be a hard one, y'all. But y'all asked for it, so I'm doing it. I'll see you tomorrow.